Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from the channel Redolessence, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to another video. Thank you so much for watching. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at a fragrance by the company Dua Fragrances, and this one is called Scrumptious, so stay tuned. Now this fragrance was released in 2018, so just this year. The perfumer behind this blend is Massam Raza. He also happens to be the in-house perfumer for the company. Now, I know I've mentioned these in my previous reviews of this company and their fragrances, but Dua Fragrances is a company that makes two types of fragrances. One, they make inspired expressions, which are fragrances that are fashioned after more popular and oftentimes harder to find niche fragrances, and they also have original creations that Massam makes himself. Now, this one happens to be a clone or an inspired expression of a more popular fragrance by the company Roja Parfum, and it goes by the name Sweetie Oud. Now, I first had the pleasure of sampling that fragrance along with two other counterparts, and I think all three of them were released at the same time. They are called Sweetie Oud, Fruity Oud, and Candy Oud. So this one here, it is more on the sweet side, but what I like about it is that it's not sickeningly sweet, and it doesn't have a confectionery vibe. It doesn't smell like cotton candy or candy floss, as they would say in the UK. It doesn't, produce a smell that's reminiscent of like an Aquilina fragrance, blue sugar or pink sugar. And for the price and what it's worth, it is an extrait de parfum. It can be bought on the website for $65, and I believe they're currently running a promotion at the time of me publishing this video. And if you want to buy the original, which is also heavenly and it smells amazing, and I know the folks over at Oswald carry that, it's going to set you back over half a grand for a 50 ml bottle. So here you are getting 20 fewer mLs, but you are paying significantly less money. And I think it's something that in terms of the smell, it's highly comparable. Of course, they're not exact clones, and I do have a sample of the original, but I'm super excited to tell you what it smells like. But let's start off with the presentation. So the presentation for this one is rather simple. Just has the label here on the front, picture of macaroons on the label. It says Scrumptious on the side. The cap does not click into place. It's quite loose fitting, but the atomizer gives you a great distribution. Let's go ahead and continue with the smell. Now, as soon as you spray this on, the first thing you're going to notice is the sweetness. This is hands down a sweet scent. And it is a gourmand, and I believe it's classified as an oriental floral, and certainly it has some floral components in here, most notably the note of rose, but you're definitely going to get the sweetness up on top. Now, I personally do like sweet fragrances. I love my Angel Men, even Le Male to a certain extent with the vanilla that's in there. And this one, on the other hand, it has a patisserie accord, and a patisserie is a French bakery that specializes in making desserts and pastries and whatnot. And this one, I believe, don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was inspired by the smell of macaroons. And I think Roja Dove, the perfumer behind the original fragrance, had mentioned that in an interview somewhere. And so when you take a look at the label, it does have macaroons on it. And I think it's also eye candy. So it doesn't just smell like candy, but it has eye candy in it as well. Now, I don't want to give off the wrong perception. It doesn't really smell like candy. It doesn't smell like Jolly Ranchers or something like that. It has a sweetness about it, but it also is compounded by these woodsy notes and the florals and the rose that's in there. And it really gives off more of like a sensual vibe rather than a childish vibe. And I think when you hear of a name like Candy Oud or Sweetie Oud, it almost makes it sound like something that would be appropriate for a teenage girl. The fragrances are not, and that's the good news. Even if you were to go with the original, I think they smell fantastic. And again, like I said, I tried them several years ago. I had the pleasure of trying all three of them, and I think they're great. And I think Roja Parfum is a brand that is synonymous with quality and high-level craftsmanship, and there are just fantastic ingredients that go into those fragrances. And I think with the ingredients that are sourced for this particular composition, when you smell them side by side, they smell so darn similar. Really, there are a lot of fragrances I will be quick to say are day and night, but this one, it really is difficult pinpointing the differences between the two. All in all, I think it's a great fragrance to wear. It's magnetic, it's alluring. Something about the sweetness, it's not what you're used to, and it's certainly not what you would expect from a fragrance. And it is niche quality in the sense that you are not going to smell like everybody else. It certainly is a unique blend in the sense that it's so out there and provocative not in the sense that it's so original, because it's not, right? It's an expired expression, but I think it's a wonderful scent. And if you do have the chance to even get yourself a sample, you know, I'm never one for blind buys, but if you do have a chance to get a sample, I think you should check this one out, especially if you're a fan of gourmand fragrances. This is definitely in gourmand territory. I did wear this around my wife. You guys know I always bring up my wife and what she thought of my fragrances, and this is one that she really liked. There were two that I wore around her. I believe the other one was Majestic Taif, which is another inspired expression of a Eau de Parfum scent. And that one she didn't really care too much about, not in the opening at least, but I know that Rose usually has a reputation of being quite harsh in the opening, something that was recently taught to me by one of my good friends, David. If you're watching this, a shout out to you, my friend. But all in all, Scrumptious is a wonderful composition, and if you do have a chance to try it out, I would highly recommend that. Let's go ahead and finish with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, it's not a unique scent in the sense that it is fashioned out of a more popular niche fragrance, but if you're looking for the overall smell, something that's comparable, this one is very close, and I don't like putting percentages on it, but if you smell them side by side, believe you me, you will not be able to tell the difference, even and especially if you smell this on somebody in the open air, in person, and it's just wafting off of them. You're not going to be able to tell what they're wearing, if it's the original or the inspired expression. It's that close of a copy. Longevity on this one was fantastic. I got 7 to 8 hours. Projection is great for the first 2 hours. It doesn't become a skin scent until about the 6.5 to 7 hour mark, and I wore this one very conservatively. I must have done maybe like 3 or 4 sprays. There were maybe only 2 or 3 occasions, and I've been wearing this for like 2.5 weeks now. There were only 2 or 3 occasions where I reapplied throughout the day, and that's just because I love the opening, when it's all about the sweet patisserie accord. And then in the dry down, you do get more of the florals and the woods, but I love reapplying with this one, but you don't need to because it is a strong scent. Versatility on this one might be compromised a little bit just because I see myself wearing this more so in the colder weather. I think this is a great scent to be worn by somebody who's a little bit younger, although these are just recommendations. If you love the way that it smells, don't let anybody say anything that's contrary to what you want to do, right? So if you want to wear it, go ahead and wear it. Take what I say with a grain of salt. These are just recommendations. And I think in addition to this being worn, or as far as my recommendation goes, in the colder weather, I think this is good for nighttime wear. And there's something about this that I probably wouldn't wear casually, despite the fact that I've worn this to work on several occasions and I have received many a compliment wearing it. Presentation on this one, I love the graphic on the bottle, or on the sticker rather, which is adhered to the bottle, but it is a stock bottle, so there's not much more to say about that. And if I were to give this one a final verdict, I would say I love the scent. It probably isn't one of my favorites just because I'm very selective with my favorites, and there are just certain fragrances out there where the moment I smell them, I am in olfactory heaven. But this one, the more and more that I wear it, I must say this is the one scent by Dua Fragrances where I think I wore it every day for like 2 weeks straight, which is really unheard of because I have so many fragrances in my collection and I like to keep a steady rotation, especially when it comes to me sampling a lot of fragrances. And anyways, I love wearing this one. It's a wonderful scent. I know I've spoken on and on, but if you have the chance to sample it, definitely try it out. Links are going to be down below. And Masam, if you're watching, I just want to say you did another fantastic job with this one. Thank you for sending me this bottle for my consideration. But again, just the fact that it was sent to me for free has no influence over my personal opinion. And Masam, you know I will tell it like it is. I don't like Cruz del Sur 1 and your interpretation of it, Desire 1. That one was just a bit too strong for me, but this one, you hit the nail right on the head. Wonderful, wonderful job, my friend. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of Scrumptious by Dua Fragrances. If you own or have tried any fragrance by this company, please let me know what you think. What's your favorite? Leave a comment down below. I love the interaction. I always love to hear from you guys, and I love learning more about you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to be subscribed to this channel for future videos, and please enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.